So this is Vlogmas. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm really excited about this video because I am setting up my 2020 Hub Planner. My Hub Planner is that planner that I use for planning out how I'm going to spend my days, my week in particular. I look at how what I have scheduled, look at the tasks that I have ahead of me, the actions I need to take for the week in order to make the progress I'm looking for. It's also a place that I reinforce my word for the year and what that means for me. So there's a lot that goes on into my hub, and it really is the center that all the other um, things that I have meet in this place. Right now I'm using the A5 size, and this is a cover that I have for it, which I really like. It's actually a very simple setup, and I'm not going to change a lot going on here. There are business card slots as well as slots for other sheets of paper, folders, and information. And I'm going to go ahead and just keep this pretty much as it is. Business cards, I have just a little, this really is just used for decoration right now. I do have a couple of page markers, um, bookmarks if you will, and I keep them in my book. This past year, 2019, I started off using a happy planner in the classic size, and I liked it, but it was just too big, too bulky for my hub, and it really didn't give me. I wanted to use the happy planner because I do like the disc bound system for the ease of customization. You can just simply punch things and slide them in right where you need them to be, but the size didn't work for me. I do have some A5 disc bound notebooks, but for a planner it just wasn't working for me. I actually find that I prefer having a bound book. I think like Erin Condren calls this perfect binding, versus a binder type book, even, or an ARC system. So this, when I finally decided to move on from the Happy Planner, um, the year was not over. I had a few months left, and so I decided to just bullet journal in a notebook through the end of 2019. And I'm just right now taking this out, taking out some things that I'm going to use and things that I just need to go through and file or discard. That, I don't know about you, but these things just end up just in my planner. Just fold them up and slide them in. Nice thing about A5 size is that it is basically a half sheet, half letter size. Not exactly, but close enough that if you have something, you can fold in half and stick it in there. But I don't want to transfer all those things. So I just used a plain notebook as a bullet journal, and that worked out well for me. But I really like the Hobonichi Cousin. I have to admit, probably my favorite planner that I've ever worked with is actually the Passion Planner in the largest size, the letter size. I used that in seminary, I used that during my doctoral program, and it gave me a lot of real estate to write down a lot of tasks. I don't have the same number of tasks, but I still like the weekly layout, which is what I loved about the Passion Planner. So I tried a couple of years ago in 2018. Actually, I started 2017, I think. Part of 2017, but 2018 I went to Hobonichi, and I really liked it, but then I decided to try something new. but I'm going back to Hobonichi. I'm using this is the Avec, so it's half a year in the notebook. You can get the regular cousin, which is the A5 size, and that's for the entire year. I find that half a year is sufficient, and it keeps it from being too, for me to carry around, and it keeps it from being too big and bulky. The way that this is set up now, I have a 2020 planner lineup video that if you're interested in my whole system, you can see that. Here I'm just going to go through briefly what's in the Hobonichi cousin. You get your, your inside cover. I normally will decorate this. I'm mainly functional planner, but I do like a little pretty here and there. So I'll do some decorative stuff, write some quotes in nice pens or markers, and also maybe a little bit of stickers, washi tape, that kind of thing. I will cover this because I hate this color. I mean, I shouldn't say I hate it, but I hate it. I don't like it a lot. I'll put my name in here somewhere. You get the 4-year at a glance. This calendar, Hobonichi, is Japanese, and so it is in Japanese, and which is not as important on the calendar because that's numbers and we're using the same numeric symbols. But this is also a Monday start, including on the monthly calendar. English calendars that you get, you tend to, even if they have a Monday start on your weekly page, they tend to still in the month start on Sunday. I like a Sunday start, so but unfortunately I can't get that in a lot of planners and calendar systems now. I'm used to it for planning, but if I want to look at the month at a glance, I'm not interested in looking at a Monday start. So I will probably cover this with something. In my 2018 version of this, I just covered it with some washi and some stickers. As you can see, I never utilized this page, which is unfortunate. What I'll probably do is a vision board here, and I did a vision board in my planner last year. I loved having it there, and I probably will do the same thing here and cover up that space. You get in the Hobonichi each month with all the days of the month listed. So on 4 pages, two-page spreads, you get the entire calendar year. Because this is a 6-month planner, which goes from January through June, I'm going to use these spreads differently. For the January through June spread, I'm going to use this to index the daily pages in this planner. The Hobonichi cousin gives you monthly spread, weekly spreads, as well as daily spread pages. The daily pages you can use for notes and a quick way to reference what you have in the daily pages, because I don't use the daily pages to plan as much as I do the weekly spread. I use that for note taking. I'm going to use it for tracking where I had separate notebooks in the past. I'm going to put that tracking things in here. So this really is going to feel a little bit more like a bullet journal without me having to draw out everything, which I think is one of the benefits of the Hobonichi and why I think I like it so much, because it gives you a lot of open real estate, but at the same time I don't have to start from scratch. I'm already doing that in my prayer journal, and that's about enough. So, and there's separate videos on that. So I'll use this as index space, these days, this portion. The top portion I'm thinking will be my my priorities for each month, and this is my hub, so this is my entire life. That's personal, professional, spiritual, financial, wellness, physical, social, just any sort of goal. My top goals would be here, and then down here at the bottom, I hope you can see this. In fact, I think I'm just going to move this cover out of the way until I actually am ready to put it back in there. The bottom here, you have just open space. Again, you can customize this so much to your use. your desired usage. Not sure what I'm going to do with this right now. I might have some reflection on the month, um, top things that happen, that kind of thing. What I'm going to do for the July through December is I'm going to use this for future planning. So again, I can still have future planning goals. If I know there are goals, I can put them there, but also in terms of use these for actual calendar dates. My phone is where I keep my calendar. So my official calendar is my phone. So I don't feel the need to write everything down in here. Although week to week, I write down everything for that week. But on my future, what is basically my future log, and my monthly spread, which I use to highlight important dates and events, are just for highlights. Day-to-day meetings, appointments, things like that, I keep a digital calendar. And I just use Gmail. I have a number of Gmail accounts because I have different roles and responsibilities, and so I have different emails associated with them and different calendars, and so having it go into my phone, I'm able to look at it all in one place, which makes it very convenient. So when I'm setting up the monthly, I will go through the beginning and put down all of those highlighted dates. You'll notice that even though this starts in January, you do get December. Because it is almost the end of December, I am not going to backfill in December. The daily pages don't start until January, so I'm going to start using this January 1, or the first full week in January, which actually is I'm a pastor, in case you didn't know. It's a light week. The week after Christmas is a little bit lighter for me, that because I'm coming off of Advent and Christmas services, and so I make that a lighter time so I can relax a little bit. So starting January 1, we'll work out just fine with that. So I'll repurpose this in some way. This might be a page where I might put routines, or I might put my prayer list by day. Let me show you what I've done in the past with those extra. In fact, I did this for that December. I did my prayer list by day of the week, where I have certain categories I pray for the day. I had a prayer for 2018. My word of the year in 2018 was engage, or engagement, and so my prayer that year was let my perception lead me to engagement. I have a longer prayer for 2020. My word for the year is discover. In my prayer journal, I have a whole setup on how I incorporate my word for the year there. And so I have a longer prayer, but I'll, as you can see, there's plenty of room. I will put that when I set that up in here. But I will probably not do that so much on this video. Or maybe I will. We'll see. Actually, maybe I will. So you can see that's how you can repurpose some of these spreads that you aren't necessarily going to need, because you will get some extra dates here. So in the same way, you also get July. Now, what did I do for July in 2018? Let's take a look. One of the other things I did in I had this idea of doing routines. I'm always trying to get myself into doing good routines, but that's not really how I work. So, I mean, to an extent, I think I always want to have more routines than I do, so I don't think I'm going to use that again. But I will repurpose this, because I won't need this for future planning, because remember, I have another space for that. So we'll figure that out. Then we get into the weekly spread, which is why I love this planner, and what I absolutely love is to be able to see my whole week at a glance, so I can see what time I have obligated in terms of meetings, what deadlines that I have, and then what empty space I have in order to work on projects. I will use this sidebar section for my actions. My top actions will go there. things that are really essential for me. Let's say, it actually starts here. Yeah, January 1. So I have a couple of, I start that Monday. This section here I divide up. So you see there's a little space at the very top. Sometimes if you see my devotional videos, you know I have a devotional process that ends with one distilled statement, which is rest in God's love, and is the end process, the final step in the process. And I have that statement. The statement normally would be able to fit here in this little section, and I have in the past done that. So I will probably try that again and see if that makes sense. My prayer journal this year is so extensive, and I am enjoying it, but it is so extensive. The idea of rewriting, you can see I'm a little bit, I didn't do today yet, I haven't finished yesterday. But like for instance, yesterday's God is with me. So that would fit. But the question is, am I going to consistently put it there? I don't know. I have done that in the past, and I do like it, because then again, as I'm working, because this stays open on this spread, when I'm working on you know, my computer, if I'm doing any sort of research and reading, this stays open so I can track where I am. And it stays open primarily on this spread versus the dailies. There was a time where when I was using this, I was really working out of the dailies, but again, that doesn't really work as well for me because I'm constantly having to transfer things over from this to the daily page, and that just creates a little too much redundancy and extra work. And I think planning should be as simple as possible. Even though I have a system because I have a lot of different things going on that I have to make sure that I keep track of. The hub, though, is supposed to be that place where it all comes in, and this is the bread and butter of my hub. So what I will do, so I think though, put that statement here that brings in the faith, the devotional into this, so that it's a constant reminder throughout the day as I look at my planner. It gives you, it starts at, let's see, 5 a.m. basically until 5 a.m. It's 24 hours. So you obviously sleep, but I think this is a nice idea because people have different schedules, so you can customize it. Very rarely does my day ever start before 7 a.m. And the only time that would happen is if I need to take someone or pick someone up from the airport, or if a member of my congregation has a surgery, or there's some sort of emergency. So I tend to start it at 7 and go basically to about 9 o'clock. And it's not that I don't have things after 9 o'clock, but again, that's not all that often either, where things would start after 9 o'clock. So I just tend to block that part out as my scheduling, as my schedule time. And that's why I use it. So that gives me a little more space above it so that I could, again, put priorities. If there are particular things I want to get done on a specific day, then I would put them there up top in that section. So I'm not going to use the time from the 5 to 7 spot in terms of scheduling because I don't need it. But, and honestly, I rarely need most days that morning time. But I have enough things in the morning that from 7 to 9 p.m. makes sense for me. And I don't mind having white space. I actually like white space, and I'll have plenty of space for it. So if there are things I want to do on a specific day, or I need to do, I'll put it on top. Again, not going to happen all the time, but I'm very visual, so having a place visually for it helps me at a glance to see and then to remember what I have on my plate. So my top actions will be here. These are not the things I need to do every week necessarily. These are specific things that I need to accomplish in order to meet the goals that I have for this week. And so those action, and I call them actions versus a to-do list, just because I like the way that sounds a little bit better. So actions go here. Then I divide this section off into categories. So the categories I will have one related to my word for the year. So my word is discover. I don't do resolutions. I do a word for the year. And that word for the year really speaks to what I want to focus on in that year. And putting it on my calendar every month, or every week rather, reminds me to focus in that area that week. And so whatever I'm looking to discover, because that's the word for next year, will go underneath that. So this is not, oh, discover, let me do, no, this is an active thing. 2019 was commit. In 2018 it was engage. And in 2017, the first time I did it was integrate. So those, that has a section, and next to actions is the first section, is the one devoted to my word for the year. So it keeps me on track with that for the entire year. The other sections I have, and they don't necessarily go in a particular order, I have a section for administrative tasks that I need to complete. I have one for connections, that's people I need to reach out to that specific week. They're related, but not necessarily the same, email and call. So connecting is a little bit different, in my mind is a little bit different. Email might be I need to send an email reminder about an upcoming meeting. So it's not necessarily that, oh, I need to reach out to this person because I really wanted to be able to talk to them about X, Y, or Z. It's subtle, related, but different enough. The connecting I need to give a little bit more thought to than the email or call, because those tend to be more closer to administrative. So that's why it kind of goes in that section. So that'll fill up this area here. I tend to leave some space here for if I have additional actions that I need to put. I also put my preparation for Sunday in its own section, because I am a pastor and Sunday is the focus of my week, even though throughout the week I'm working on multiple things beyond just Sunday morning. Sunday morning is when I see most of the people of the church, is where the bulk of my preparation in the week goes towards that. So I will have a separate section for that. And I will also have a section to remind me of any sort of social media that I want to do, promotions, that kind of thing. So that'll go there. So that's a setup. And just so I can give you a quick little idea of what then this would look like, and actually I do use a pen to really create the boundaries for these sections, because again, visually I like to see it. I think it looks good. I use a pretty thin pen for this because I don't want it to take over. I just need it to give me that visual clue. So I probably could have been blocking this off while I was explaining it, but it occurred to me this is supposed to be a setup video and I'm just talking. I honestly do not talk this much regularly in real life. There's just something about this medium that encourages me to really be chatty. So you can see here how much space this leaves me to write out all of various categories. So I have Discover here, and I really think I'm going to divide this up because I really do have a lot of space. I don't need to have too much because I don't want to over task myself, if that makes sense. You know, I have a tendency to think I have more time or I'm able to do more in the time that I have than I really can. And so I really don't want to overtask myself. And so having a space where realistically, and once I actually start writing these things out, there's about room for about 3 things in each of these categories at the most. The idea is not for me necessarily to have 3 things in all of these, but to make sure that I do have, I can, if I want to write a little smaller, and that's why I use a very thin pen for my writing. I'll show this to you. But I will use a thicker one to make my headings. So I could put much more. I could put, you know, several, probably about 5 or 6 things, but realistically 3 in terms of the way that I normally write. So social media, promotion, to promote things. Let's see, Sunday prep here. I think, is there anything else? I think that is good. Again, this gives me a flexible space right here. So I've got the actions here. I will typically add in, I'm not going to write because this is, I normally do my plan. This is a Thursday where I'm recording this, and that's when I normally do my planning, but I do it for the current Thursday for the week ahead. And so what I would typically do next is write in my appointments for the week. So on Thursday, and let's just pretend that this is the Thursday before, which would be the 26th of December. So I would come in and I would go through and I would write down, for instance, our worship service is on Sunday at 10 o'clock. Certain things I know off the top of my head, they are recurring every week. I have a prayer call on 7:30 on Wednesday. I'm not going to have it on New Year's Day though, but normally that's where I would have it. Because again, this is going to be a really quiet week. I don't know that I have, let's just look, a single appointment. I do have some work to do, but I don't know that I have a single appointment. I do have, I'm not sure of the time. There's a birthday party. One of my members is throwing a birthday party for a family member, and I've been asked to come and participate in that, and so I have to get the time for that. So, but this is going to be a wide open week, which is great. I will put here, because this is my sister's birthday. Yes, she was a New Year's baby. She was not the first born. She was, I think, I don't know, the second or third born in the city that day. But you can see, so again, priority that day, in addition to the fact that it's the first day of the year. So you can, this is a very lean setup. Most weeks there would be something, you know, several days of the week. I would have my office hours when I'm in the office at church highlighted. I do plan, I'm not sure um, when I'm going to come in that week, but I'm sure I will, just to do some prep things here in the office. Most of it, though, I will do working from home because, again, after Christmas and Advent, this is a nice week to decompress. That just gives you an idea of how I use the week. Let me just show you really quickly the day, the month. Well, the daily and the month. So in the Hobonichi, each month in the daily section begins with a blank page. Now this blank page used to be lined, and frankly I preferred it because of the way that I use it. But I can still use it because I can see the grid underneath. I use this to create my Kanban board, which is essentially a project management board. I do this every month. I create a new one every single month in my Hub Planner. And on this, and I use this monthly spread given in the daily pages to do it. I use 4 quadrants. Since using Franklin Covey, and these are not the same quadrants, I just like the look of 4 quadrants. I've seen a lot of Kanban that have like 3, but I have 4. The first one is the inbox. What I use the inbox for are those new projects that have come in the month of January. This is how I'll use this in January. Any new projects that come in the month of January. These are not carryover. These are brand new, and I will put them here. Then there's ready. You could combine these two if you wanted to. Have them all be the inbox or have them all be ready, because these are basically projects that are not yet started. I'm not yet doing them, but I want to keep them on my radar. Ready are projects that are ready for me to start, but I haven't started yet. So they could be a carryover from previous month, and I would carry them over. So even if I have a project that I'm writing down, I'm carrying over from November, and I realistically now I'm probably not going to start it until February or March. I'm still going to put it here because when I go to the end of the month, when I'm doing my transfer in February and creating my new board, I'm not going back through all the previous months. I'm just going to this one. The reason that I do this month to month is because I think that keeps me focused on my goals on a regular basis. When I'm doing my weekly planning, I come to this board to see what I can do, how I can advance these projects, and this is where my actions come from, primarily from moving things from the inbox already into this section, which is doing. These are the things I'm working on currently. And so this again can be things that are moving from inbox already into the doing section during that month, or I might be carrying over from an ongoing project. I'm carrying it over from a previous month until it reaches that point of done. This is the best section. And once something is done, I put it here, and then I'm not going to transfer it. I just know it's done, it's satisfied, wonderful. So it shows me my progress, and it shows my progress through the month, and it's a way for me to capture where I stand on the various projects that I have. And again, this is my hub, so this is personal, professional, all of it. I do have a professional book that I've shown you. It's also Hobonichi. It's a Hobonichi Weeks. It is a smaller notebook, smaller planner. And I'm thinking I'm going to actually put a master Kanban board in here for the year that just so I can keep track, because again, my professional book is yes, it's a working book, but it's not. My planning comes in here, even though I do use this a little bit for planning. I mean, there's some overlap, but primarily this is for me to record information and to track information. And so that I can have a record, I would probably also create a master Kanban board, but for the whole year, not one that will go from month to month. This has been tremendously functional for me in terms of moving my projects forward to reach my goals. And so every month, this is how I'm using this spread. You'll notice in the Hobonichi there's some Japanese writing. Sometimes I might just cover that, and this is an experiment because I don't think I've used this washi. I mean, I've used this washi before, but I don't think I've used it on Hobonichi before. I'll just use this for the time being. The Japanese writing doesn't actually bother me, doesn't distract me, but it's not bad, I don't think. But I don't want a lot in here because I don't want to make this heavy. I mean, the idea that you can have this much in a single book that's not that heavy, not that thick, is a function of how thin this paper is. The paper, though, takes, you can see that there's a little ghosting, but it's not bleeding through. It doesn't bleed. I have not, nothing I've used has bled through. I can't say I've used fountain pens in these, I've used markers. Nothing I've used on this. It's Tomei River paper. It has not bled through. But it will do some ghosting. Doesn't bother me, but just so you know if that's something that will bother you. Then on the, then we get into the dailies. The dailies, again, very simple. So it gives you, it's like the moon cycles, I think, in here. Day of the week, you have the monthly. Again, these are, I believe, quotes in Japanese. So you can cover this if you want to. I tend not, on the dailies, I'm not going through that effort. I'll use this for notes, but I'm also going to be tracking like my health and wellness in this book. I've decided to do that either on, I think on Saturdays when I decided to do that for the next coming week, to use the Saturday spread, because if I have a meeting on Saturday, typically I don't actually have that many meetings on Saturday. I know the association, my church, my denomination's local association. I'm the treasurer, so I have quarterly association council meetings, but I have a separate notebook for this because I do so much for the association. I just need a separate notebook for it, and I'm using it from year to year until this will probably be my final term, and then I will greatly put that on the shelf. But I know that I'm planning to do my wellness in this, in my Hobonichi. In the past, I've done this in separate notebooks. This year, I'm going to try it in my hub. I actually have used a regular weeks, for a finance and health tracker. That actually worked pretty well for me, but I don't want another weeks. And I also actually want this in my hub, because one of the things in the past, even though this was very functional, I end up a lot of blank pages, lots of blank pages. And so why have blank pages when I can use this to track things that I want to track? So one of the things that I have, and I learned this, I think it's a vegan organizer. She had a planner that she used for her planners. She has a million, even more planners than I do. And she finds wonderful ways to justify or to use up these notebooks. And she had a planner for planners. Well, I bought this thinking it'd be a nice cover for an A5 notebook. It's a nice cover for the one it came with. The one it came with, it's horrible. I covered it with washi tape because it was basically just cardboard. And it's just a little bit too small. So I just decided that I would sketch out whenever I want to sketch out a different layout. So I have sketched out here um, a wellness spread. And I kind of like it, but I think because this video is getting a little bit long, I'm going to do that on a separate video. But I am going to just leave myself a little place marker. Wholesome. I think I meant to say wholeness, but wholesome is fine. Talking and doing sometimes lead you to things like that. So I'm just leaving a little place marker. So that'll be one day a week will be in here. I will probably I'll probably just use the other pages for notes, whatever I'm working on at the time that doesn't necessarily need to go in a different notebook. If there are other things that you might think about tracking, I don't want to over track. I'd be interested, so you can let me know. Again, this is kind of the bread and butter page. I'm going to, for now, the one thing about Hobonichi, it doesn't give you the bookmarks like some others do. This is a bookmark, magnetic bookmark I have from Erin Condren that I will use. And these others, I think I will just reserve. Let's see. The nice thing about it though, because these pages are so thin, I could go from the weekly to the monthly. In fact, I think I will set up this January though. Yeah. Then I need something for my dailies. I think, which one? I think I'll use the faith one. These are getting a little, I don't know, a little ragged. I've used these for a while, but they still work. Let me do, the last thing I'm going to do is set up the monthly. Let me just show you real quick. You do get a few blank pages. Just if you need extra, you get this timetable. You can put an ideal schedule here. You get this graph paper. Again, you could use this for a tracker of some sort. Favorites, you could put information here. I tend to, with these pages that are all like in Japanese, which you have a number of them, cover them up with reference material information that I'll print out on sticker paper and just slap on like half letter size sticker paper and just slap them, trim them down slightly and put them in here. My 100, not sure how I'm going to use this. I might use this to record the books that I read. Not every book, because I read a lot of just fiction for fun. Not those, but I also buy a lot of books, theological books. I buy audio books where I listen to biographies, historical books, things like that. Just occasionally I'll buy books that are basically for my own development, recording those kinds of books there. Thinking. So just to give you an idea of what the rest of this looks like for those of you who may not be familiar with the Hobonichi. But right now we're going to set up my monthly. There's not a whole lot to do here at all. And in this page, because I only have these little boxes, I'm really going to use this nail pen. I'm going to put my sister's birthday. I am going to put New Year's Day. I will also grab my calendar that my denomination, United Church of Christ, puts out. And so I can record. It's just a monthly calendar, but it has all of the days of the Christian calendar. It has days that are particular that my denomination observes. It also has the United States holidays. And so I will use this to record those days in addition to the highlights that are just mine. So, January 6th is Epiphany. And I used to do different color codes and things like that. And that just, it's okay, but I'm just not going to do that. Just not. Here we have Martin Luther King Day. Put his initials, space. The week of prayer for Christian unity begins here. So I will note that, and that goes to the 25th. I can't believe it's 2020. You know, I remember growing up thinking that 2000 just seems so far away and so significant, and here we are. 2020. It's unbelievable. One of the things that about the Hobonichi, with the month, it gives you the number large and then the month is written somewhat small. So I tend to write the month somewhere in a larger way. It's not really necessary, but I just tend to like it. So I'm not, right now I'm just going to do that down here in this corner. I like also to use this space to highlight any goals as well. But I haven't really thought about that, so I'm not going to put those down. Typically, I put that down at the end of the month. Now, it's close to the end of the month, so I probably could do that. But there are a couple of things, because in that week, the last week of the year, for instance, I do a Lenten devotional, and I plan to get started with that. Now, but I know that I'm not going to finish that. But I think I'm actually going to put it on this side because I've got so much space here. So the Lenten devotional. I also just need to do some advanced worship planning. And then just do some church visioning with some of the ministries here at the church for 2020. So, and those are big enough goals, I think, for the month. I used to use the sideboard in my hub for my prayer list for the month. I've put that in my prayer journal, and I really don't want to duplicate them. I have it already sort of duplicated in my digitally, so I don't need to have it in my hub. So I'm still kind of working out what this will be. I might just put a quote there or something of that nature. So we'll see. Typically, there's a symposium or seminar that I normally go to here, but because I'll be celebrating Epiphany here, I don't want to miss that, and flying out Sunday night for it and because I haven't planned for it, just seems a little bit much, so I probably won't go to that. I'm just looking really quickly, and I'm literally just going through really quickly. I should have a board meeting here. I'm not going to put the board meeting there, though. It's not out of the ordinary. This is really, again, for the big stuff. You know what? A friend of mine is being ordained on this day. It's the same day as the church board meeting, but there's plenty of time in between them. Should have did that the opposite, but that's okay. Okay, let's see. I'm going to put this is a regular meeting, but it only happens quarterly. So having that as a reminder on my monthly is good. This is something that the workshop that I want to take some members of my church to. I got another meeting. These are pretty much association related because I'm the treasurer. It puts me on a number of committees. Make note of this as well. So you can see how this shapes up and how it goes relatively quickly. The only thing is I also have a congregational meeting, the annual congregational meeting here. Lots of space, as you can see. I'm okay with that because this is a page that I want to only see the highlights. So I should not, if I was traveling, I would put like some washi tape to show that across the travels. But I really do want this to be something that I can just look at a glance and see what's going on. So again, I'm going to connect my month and my week using this. And that is how I'm using this functionally. Okay. Now, I need to cover up. Let me try. Let me see. This is kind of sheer. Wonder if so. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I have some. I'm just going to take some scrapbook paper, put some glue down on it, and this very simple. I'm going to do it on both sides. I think I'll use this darker side here, this side, and then I have one that's a little bit, but they're both gray, shade different, but darker gray, like a charcoal, and then this sort of medium gray. Just make this really simple to myself. Doesn't quite fit entirely. That's okay. The washi will come in and do the rest. And that'll be just fine. Need a little bit more right here. And actually, I think I will start here and wrap around. Doesn't have to be perfect. It is obviously not going to be perfect, but you probably can't even, I'm sorry, I think I'm out of frame here. I want this to be, particularly the back, because it's going to go back into, if you recall, it's going to go back into that case. So again, does not have to be perfect at all. And actually, I don't mind that little bit of the color actually showing through here. So I'm going to do the same thing up top. Just try to line it up. The edge. And very simple, quick way. I could have even taken this around. I actually think I will of this and done the inside, but I'm not going to worry about the inside just yet. I am, however, going to cover up the this brown here. And then just simply go around. Very simple. That simple. I'm not sure I love it, actually. Maybe I should just do a little something, so. Well, I'll probably, maybe I should do like this in order to frame it. Yeah, I think that's my issue. Yeah, that's better for me. I will probably do some more, add some more stickers or something. You can see what I did with the bullet journal. I ended up liking this. But for now, it's better. It's an upgrade over that, over this. Now, what I did that year, I had a clear cover. Midori makes, and you see, I always have a few post-it notes in my covers, in my planners. Midori has these clear plastic covers. So what I did that year is I put this into that clear plastic cover, and I just put some scrap paper inside of that. That cover is just a little bit big, I think, to put inside of this cover, and a little redundant. So I'm not going to do that. See how just a few things, I'm not going to put that in there, can make a difference. And for now, I'm in good shape. I also have this, which I can keep in here. I'll probably just keep it in the back of this. And I have pretty much set up really quickly, just to show you what I keep on this. Really the most important thing. I mean, I have a stencil in here, it's a straight edge. I have some notebook paper. I have, this is a, from Hobonichi. It's a smaller notebook. I have bought a couple of sets of these. The set's like 3 of these notebooks for $10, which is a little bit expensive for just the small notebooks, but I like the size of them. And I like that I can put collections in here. So that's what I do. So for more permanent reference information, so I don't have to migrate it from year to year, I can just keep it in the collection and just keep it in this little side. Well, that was a longer video than I was expecting it to be, but I have the basics set up. I'll come back in, you know, I will add some stickers, pretty some things up in here, but I will do a vision board. That's going to be a whole separate thing. I will do my future planning. That'll be a separate thing. But I have shown you basically how I use this, and have set it up enough that I can get started. And I'll be ready first week of January to make it happen. So my hub is here, my prayer journal, my professional work planner is here as well. This is primarily my system. I have this for my other, the contract work that I do, social media, and communications. It's here that's very specific. Again, this is one I probably will not do flip throughs of. But you can see this is my planner system for the year. This I carry every day. This I'm in every day, but it stays at home. And this I carry when to work. This is what I work out of when I'm really doing sort of desk work, if you think of it that way. And this I look at when I'm working on those projects, when I'm planning those projects through. Simple system, very organized, very functional, works for me. If you have stuck through this long, I really appreciate it. And I hope that I have provided some tips, some information that was a benefit for you. Until I see you the next time, I just pray that the light of Christ continues to shine through you, not just through this season, but through every season of the year. Happy planning and be blessed.